Hey, as you saw in the last video that I posted, it was my labor and delivery vlog for this little one. I have him with me because he was downstairs just crying for no reason. He's a mama's boy. Your mama's boy. So currently his sisters are downstairs, occupied by Despicable Me. But we're going to be doing a video on the pros and cons of giving birth with medication, whether it be epidural, whatever, and all natural, meaning no Pitocin, no epidural, no nothing. I've had 3 kids. This is number 3. I've had the first 2. First kid I had Pitocin and epidural. Second kid I had just had the epidural, and with him I had him all natural with no pain medication, no nothing. And I feel like I can do a video that's unbiased because I've done both. Now, there are pros and cons to each one. However, with me being able to experience both with all 3 kids, I can honestly say if I would have experienced my natural birth the way I did him with, how do I say that? The way my birth experience was with him all natural, I would have definitely done the first 2 natural. Had I have known the pros and cons, tips, it's mainly mental, yes, it's physical. No matter what, if you give birth, medicated or not, it's gonna hurt. You're pushing out a human. Birth is not going to feel good regardless, whether it be during labor or after. So I'm gonna just do a video. I have a few friends and some family who want to know how I did it natural. I have friends who are pregnant who, want to know how I did it. And now that I have done it natural, I'm willing to help anyone else do it because I feel like natural is better, depending on your pain tolerance. Now, I'm not saying go natural, no matter how painful it is. No, you do what's comfortable for you. But if you personally want to go natural and you have it set in your head, then you can do it. If you want to, you will do it. You're just staring at the camera. But yeah, so I'll get into that in a second once I get him situated. You want to say bye-bye to the people? Okay, so I changed my mind. I'm just gonna keep him here because he's enjoying it. So let's get into the video. So we're gonna start with the pros and cons of giving birth medicated. Obviously, the pros first will be you're more comfortable. You get to kind of relax because labor can be long sometimes. With each of my kids, my labor time has varied. So with my first child, I labored for 22 hours. My second child, I labored for about 8 or 9 hours. With him, I think I only labored for like 3 or 4. So with my first labor, I had epidural. Some people labor way longer than that, especially if you're not having any progress with your labor. So sometimes it can be exhausting. The pros of epidural is that it gives you a chance to take a nap, to relax, to just kind of rest if you need to. You won't feel the pain. It's just as the baby gets closer to coming out, you'll feel pressure. So no matter what, you're going to feel pressure, but the pain will be taken away. Another pro, obviously, is when you're pushing, won't feel anything, just pressure. Even after for maybe the next hour or so, you won't feel anything. Those are the only pros I can give you with epidural, honestly. Cons. You get the shakes really bad. I don't know why. I think it's the same for everyone, but with both my epidurals, I got the shakes really bad. It's almost as if you're really, really cold and it's uncontrollable. It doesn't hurt, it's just like you can't stop no matter what. Epidural affects people in different ways, but that was one thing that happened for me. Other people, they experience other things, I don't know. But for me, that's what I experienced. After I had the baby and everything, as the epidural starts to wear off, just because you don't feel anything during your labor and during delivery Once that epidural wears off, you're going to feel everything afterwards during your recovery. You cramp after, you have your baby. So since you felt nothing, you're going to feel everything all at once. And at least when you're having pain, at least while you're, Judah, I think he's happy because he sees himself and he sees me. Just because you, what was I saying? Judah, you're distracting me, baby. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, just because you don't feel any pain during your labor doesn't mean you're not going to feel it afterwards. Also, in the incision point where they give you the epidural in your back, I was sore both times for at least 6 months in my back where I got the shot or where the needle was implanted in my back. I was sore for 6 months in that same spot, meaning I couldn't bend all the way past a certain point without feeling pain and pressure. Who wants to feel that? I mean, if you don't mind that, I'll go for it. I would say maybe those are the only cons. I think another con with my first, I'm not sure if it was due to the epidural or not, but as soon as she came out, I got a fever of like 103. I'm not sure why, but I'm thinking it may have been the epidural, but who knows? Look, I don't know. Even the doctor doesn't know what happened because I said, is that normal? And she was like, no. And I was like, okay. But everything was fine. Also, another con of epidural, when they are administering the epidural to you, make sure it's someone who knows what they're doing. Now, I have 2 experiences with epidural. The first person who did my epidural, he was in and out quick. It does not hurt. Even when they give you the initial needle to numb you, it doesn't hurt. It's just like a regular needle. If you are bad with needles, I'm sorry. Even shots, like, it doesn't hurt. So, I mean, you're having contractions. So a little needle does not hurt. And then you're numb, and then they actually insert the actual epidural. That didn't hurt. First guy was in and out. Now the second guy, at a whole different hospital, different place. I'm not going to say the hospital. Where they messed up was when I came into the hospital with my second child, I was already 7 centimeters and I was having contractions like every 2 minutes. I told them I didn't want to have epidural. I wanted to go natural. But she kept asking me over and over, do you want epidural? Okay, if you don't get it now, it's going to be a long time until you can finally get it. So if you want to get it now, you need to let me know now. And so when someone's pressuring you and you're already in pain, you start to have doubts that you can do it naturally. So with her continuing to ask me, do you want epidural? Do you want epidural? Do you want epidural? I was like, no. And she asked me one more time, and she asked me right when I had one bad contraction. I looked at my husband and I was like, yes, I can't do this. I can't do it. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. So that's where they messed up. I got the epidural. I was sitting there waiting, and they came in, but it was 2 people who came in. One lady, and then there was one guy who she was like, well, this is a teaching hospital. Do you mind if, basically they teach him, or they let the boy practice on me. In the moment, I'm not really thinking straight. I'm just worried about, okay, I need the pain to go away. So I said yes. Tip, say no. That is not the time for someone to be experimenting on you, especially when you're that far along in your labor. I was 7 centimeters and I wasn't thinking straight. So make sure you have someone on your team, on your side, who can not vouch for you, who can kind of talk and be like, she doesn't want this, she doesn't want that, this is what she wants, blah, 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 blah. So initially, I should have said no and stuck to no when I said I did not want epidural. But that's neither here nor there. So they were like, oh, is it a teaching hospital? Do you mind if, basically this guy practices on me? I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I think I was like, yeah. Like I said, I've had an epidural before. First guy was in and out. This person, you shouldn't feel when the epidural needle is in you. You shouldn't feel that. I felt something. And I was like, ooh, I feel a little something, sir. I felt them take it out and redo it. So I was extra sore after the epidural wore off. I was sore for a while. and it hurt. It worked. And also another con for epidural is sometimes it may not work. There are some people who they get the epidural, it only works on one side, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So then you're kind of stuck to go natural anyway. You've gone through all of that and you have to go natural. So yeah, that's a con. Another con, when you get the epidural, you cannot move. You have to get a catheter inserted in you. So you can't get up and go to the bathroom. You can't, like walk around and labor how you want. You can't do that. You have to be in the bed or like right by it. So once you get that epidural, it's a wrap, sis. You stuck in that bed. I want to say I think that's it for the cons. Now, pros and cons of going natural. If you want to go natural, I definitely will say you need to prepare your entire pregnancy to go natural. You can't just decide last 2 months, last month, last few weeks. Oh, I think I can do it natural. No, you need to prepare your entire pregnancy. If you want to go natural, you need to be mentally prepared to go natural by the time it's time for you to have your baby. Because if you're not mentally prepared, you won't do it. That's where I messed up with my second. I was like, I'm gonna go natural. I think I want to go natural. I could never make up my mind if I wanted to or not, which is why when the nurse proposed the idea of epidural to me in the heat of the moment, I was like, okay, forget it, give it to me. I can't do it. You can. You can do it. Now, unless your baby or you is in distress, or you just really can't handle the pain, or your labor is just way too long for you to bear going natural, then by all means, get the epidural. Do what makes you comfortable. Now, for me, I prepared my whole pregnancy with him that I wanted to go natural because I beat myself up with the last child that I didn't do it natural. And I was so close. I was 7 centimeters. An hour later, she was out. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So with him, I binge watched natural and labor delivery vlogs on YouTube. I saw how other people were kind of coping. I kind of saw what they were doing, what the husbands, their midwives, all that. Also, this time I had a midwife versus a nurse. So versus a regular OBG, I had a midwife slash OBG. She was both. So that's another thing. And so I didn't give birth in the main part of the hospital. I gave birth in a part of the hospital that is for alternative birthing, whether it's, they cater more to natural methods versus just epidural, blah, 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 this to get the baby out. So, I did that. I sat and I binge watched natural and delivery vlogs my entire pregnancy. I also talked to my midwife and she kind of gave me a few tips and tricks. Like there's methods to deal with contractions while you're in labor naturally. So it could be water, you can bounce, you can move, you can dance, whatever you want to do to help you cope with the contractions. Since you're not hooked up to anything, you can do whatever you want, whether it be dancing, you can stand in the shower and let the water run on you. You can be in the tub, which I did with the jets. Whatever you want. Let me stick with the pros before I hit the cons. It's not bad cons, but I mean, it's birth. What do you expect? We'll stick with the pros right now. Honestly, I think going natural, it made it quicker because sometimes when you have medicine, depending on how your body reacts, it can slow down labor. It just depends on your body. I felt like it went faster, but then again, I can't tell because this is my third kid and I had him and his sister were only 19 months apart. So it's either because I went natural or my body just knew what to do. So one or the other. At least he's calm. That's pretty much all the pros is just, you get more freedom, I'll say. Now, cons. When you are going natural with absolutely nothing, you feel everything. Please don't get scared by this. It's birth. So when you're mentally prepared that, okay, It's birth. I am pushing a human out of my body. Just know it's going to hurt. If you have that in your head, it's going to hurt. You'll be okay. It's going to hurt. However, it's bearable, it's doable. How I got through it was I mentally prepared myself to think of contractions and pain as progress. So, whenever I had a contraction, when it was actually like time, like when it was go time, think of it as a peak, like a mountain. The peak, the peak of the wave of the contraction is the hardest, the most intense, the most painful. What I did was, as I felt the contraction building, relax your entire body. Don't tense up, just relax and breathe. Keep a rhythm going in your head. You need to focus. That's why if you're going to have anything around you, whether you want to labor at home or labor at the hospital, make sure your environment is calm, peaceful, quiet, so that you can focus on your contractions and so you can get your baby out. Because if you're distracted by people talking or whatever, you're going to break your focus and you're going to start to tense up, and then you're going to kind of be more, you're more likely to cop out, and not cop out, that's not the right word. It is, but it's not. You're more likely to be like, you know what, I can't do this. This is too painful. I want an epidural, take the pain away. I want to relax. No. So make sure that whether it's your husband, boyfriend, partner, whoever, make sure that they're on track with you to make sure that your environment is calm. Lavender, your oils, music, whatever you want to keep you calm. It can be little focal points. Some people get quotes. Their kids will draw pictures. They'll make them self-posters. Whatever can keep you motivated, calm, to get your baby out natural, to help you be calm. So whenever you feel that contraction building, focus and prepare yourself. Okay, the peak is coming. The most intense part is coming. Prepare yourself so that when it gets there, you already know it's coming. You breathe through it, relax. Whether you have to close your eyes, breathe. The key is relax and breathe. Once you feel that peak, once you hit your peak, you can know, okay, it's going to go away. So prepare yourself for the peak of the contraction, and you'll be able to just keep riding the wave. Now, it does get harder as your contractions get closer together. Now, when your contractions are still like 10 minutes apart, you get a break in between that. When your contractions start coming every 30 seconds or every minute or so, you really have to be in tune with your body and focus. Also, another thing that helped me get through labor naturally was the fact that he's coming. If you knew your contractions were getting closer, you're like, okay, my body's dilating, my body's opening up, he's making his way, or your baby, he or she's making their way into the world. This is progress. This is good. Think of it that way. Think it's pain. Pain equals progress. Progress is good. You don't want to be stuck in labor for 10,000 years. You just don't. So, Judah, you're making your whole onesie all messed up, Papa. I think he's teething. He just hit, I think, 13, 14 weeks. I'm sorry, after the first kid, I stopped counting them by weeks, to be honest. He's 3 months. What else? Am I in pros or cons? I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. Another pro or con? Whatever, I'm just going to start talking to y'all about labor naturally, because I'm all for it. If you're at a hospital that lets you labor in the shower or in the tub, do it. That's what helped me, because when I got to the hospital with him, I was a 6 to 7, but I was having contractions every 5 minutes. What helped me with the last hour and a half or so of him making his way in the last 3 centimeters, I was in the tub the entire time. And when those contractions start to get intense, it's a point in your labor called transition, where your body is just, it's go time basically. So my body, I didn't experience with the others because, I didn't feel it. My body was shaking because adrenaline, your body starts to go, not in shock, but your body will start to produce adrenaline once it reaches a certain point, because yes, it's painful. It's just how our body reacts. So my body was starting to produce adrenaline. So I was shaking every now and then during contractions. It doesn't hurt. I was okay. It's just, but that helped the nurses know, okay, she's going through transition. Okay, it's almost time. So I got in the tub, I relaxed, went through labor. And a part of me was like, you know what? I feel really tired. I just want to get out and try to lay down. As soon as I got up, as soon as I stood up out of the water, my contractions were coming like every 30 seconds. Here's the tub, like kind of like how my bathroom is. It was tub, door. As soon as I stood up, I had 4 contractions. All I had to do was take 2 steps to the door, but I was having contractions like 30 seconds apart. And I was like, I'm sorry, guys. And they're like, no, you're okay. Go ahead, do your thing. And I was like, okay, let's go. So we made it to the bed. She checked me. Time to push. Here's the con with pushing naturally. You feel everything. But like I said, prepare yourself that it's going to hurt. It's not a pain. Well, everyone's pain tolerance is different. So it's really hard to say it's doable because everyone's pain is different. There are some people that I watched their labor and delivery vlog where when they push, they were hollering and screaming bloody murder. And so sometimes that can kind of discourage you and make you nervous, like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. But there are some people who they breathe through it and they do it like a champ. And it's like, okay, I can do this. Mine, I didn't make any noises during labor or during pushing. The only noise I think I did was like a because it got intense. And not because it hurt, it was just really, really, really intense. Because most of the pain is the contractions. When it comes time for pushing them out, depending on how big your baby is, he was 7 pounds, 14 ounces. But once she broke my water, I was not pushing him. My body pushed him. So that's another pro of doing it naturally. Sometimes the doctors, they'll kind of force you to push. But with my midwife, we didn't do practice pushes. We didn't do any of that. Once she popped my water, she felt and saw his head and she's like, okay, he's going to be out in a second. She didn't tell me push, 1, 2, 3, push. None of that. My body was pushing him out on its own. So it almost felt like I was taking a very, very intense poop. You know the feeling when you get like, you just, you get that feeling when you have to poop. It's like that times 10 in a weird way, because even if you are giving birth with the epidural, they'll tell you, push like you're pooping. My body was doing that on its own. And it was intense because I've never felt that before. And it was working. It wasn't painful. It was just very, very intense. But it was happening so quickly that my brain didn't process pain. It just processed, oh my gosh, this is it. He's coming out on his own. There's nothing I can do to stop it. It didn't hurt. Everything is kind of like in that moment, adrenaline, excitement, nervousness, everything is balled into one that it's happening. So in 45 seconds, he was out. I really didn't push much. I was sitting up pushing. She told me to lay back for a second. I guess because his shoulders were too broad. She laid me back and I felt, she's like, okay, she can sit back up. Pulled him out and he was out. And I will say definitely a pro of going natural is that you felt all the pain during labor, during, delivery, that when it's time to recover, it's not as painful because you felt the most pain already. So recovery is breeze. This time I only stayed in the hospital 24 hours. And maybe after I had him, I had a little bit of food, took a little nap, and I was up and walking. Typically they're worried sometimes when you have epidural, they want to make sure that you can still walk, make sure nothing's wrong, just to make sure everything was okay. After I had him, I was up and walking. Even my dad was like, because he was in the room this time when I gave birth. So to see me give birth and then to see me just up and walking, he was like, yo, my daughter is like Wonder Woman. Like, you're like, how are you up and walking right now? I'm like, I feel great. I felt the most pain already. So this is just kind of a breeze. Everything is just kind of, calming down, recovering. Everything felt great. Also because I felt all the contractions. Breastfeeding, when you breastfeed, if you decide to breastfeed, you start to cramp because your uterus is contracting and shrinking back down. Yes, those hurt. And as you have more kids, I don't know why, but as you have more kids, the cramps afterwards are stronger. So they hurt with him. But like I said, I just gave birth to him naturally. So they hurt, but I was just like, I can do this. The only issue is that it's pain, but no progress. You're just going through pain because you're breastfeeding and you know your uterus is shrinking. At least with when you're having, stop, baby. At least when you're having pain during labor, you know it's for a reason. You know your baby is coming out. What are you doing? At least you know it's for a reason. I'm sorry I'm rambling. I should have wrote these things down, but I was trying to hurry up and get this done before, you know, my kids are unoccupied or he's cranky. So I wanted this to be a little more organized, but if you're sticking with me, I appreciate you because I know I'm all over the place. But yeah, it's definitely doable. You can do it. Just have people on your side in your, whether it's your midwife, your nurse, whoever, just make sure they're on the same page as you as far as how you want to give birth. So if you need to write it out, make a birth plan, give it to your doctor, your nurse, even if you don't have the same doctor to deliver as you've had your whole pregnancy. I had to experience that. With my first child, my same OB was the person who delivered. Second child, I was in a whole different place. My doctor was a very highly requested doctor. So she wasn't always available. So for most of my pregnancy, I didn't even get to see her much until I was already 7 months pregnant. So the whole time I was seeing the nurse practitioner instead of my actual OB, which kind of sucked. And I was supposed to be due on one day, but I was a day late. And that just so happened to be a day where she was on call all day and she was going home. So she kind of peeked in really quick to try to say hi while I was getting my epidural, but I never saw her. So she didn't deliver. So whoever delivered my child, it was my first time seeing them. I don't remember their name. Thank God they were amazing and I absolutely loved them. But, you know, you just kind of wish that whoever is delivering your child, they know you, they have a relationship with you, and you'll feel more comfortable. I didn't know them, so I was just kind of like, Lord, please don't let these people be crazy. Not crazy, but please let them, you know, you just want to feel comfortable and in a good space when you're in that position. You're bringing life into the world, so you want to be comfortable. With this last one, my midwife was with me from beginning to end. I loved her. And to this day, she still says that we're her favorite labor because during labor, when you're doing it natural, I had the monitor on and everything. They didn't have to bother me. They just let me labor how I needed to. If I needed them, we would call them, but I didn't need them. They let me do what I wanted. They didn't come and bother me. The only time they bothered me was when they weren't getting a reading on the little straps that they strap on you for the fetal heart monitor. She had to physically come in with the Doppler and after each contraction check me as they were coming closer because she wanted to make sure that his heart rate was good. He was perfect, but they just, you know, they wanted to make sure. So that was the only time that they were with me. Leave your hair alone. He's sleepy. You sleepy, Papa? That was the only time that they really bothered me. But yeah, I'm not against epidural. So I just say do what makes you comfortable. If you feel like you aren't ready to try it natural, I honestly would say if you plan on having more than one child, I say try it. Try to go natural. If you can't, try the epidural. But with your next child, if you want to go natural, do it. That way, you know, you can kind of depict, okay, I've done it natural. I want to try natural. I've done it with the epidural. I know what it's like. So, you know, I would say don't, if you want to just go in with your first kid and try natural, you go, girl. You do it. If you're not sure, it's okay. I did it with number 3. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not having any more kids. So, anywho. But I think that pretty much wraps up. That pretty much wraps it up. Hopefully you guys stuck with me. I know I was all over the place. I'm sorry. I'm still new to this. I'm still trying to, you know, get my groove going. He wasn't supposed to be with me in this video, but you did pretty good. You didn't cry or nothing. He's used to the camera. But yeah, that is my pros and cons for giving birth naturally versus with the epidural. Let me know what you guys think. Comment down below your experiences with both. What do you feel like was better for you? Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. You can follow me on Instagram. You can tag me in your own personal stories if you have stories. If not, you can comment, DM. I'm open to whatever. So, hope you like this video. If you did not get to see my labor and delivery vlog, that's the last video. I will insert that at the end, and hope you like it. Say bye. Tell me why, now that I'm done recording, he wants to try to start falling asleep now. Why? This don't make no sense. Who came to visit me? What you doing?
Daddy.
Daddy's not here. You gonna let mommy do your hair?
Nope.
I'm not sweating.